Coming up on In Your Neighborhood, we'll hit the video games and pinball machines at Fizzy's Arcade in Milton. Plus, we'll show you a new place where you can shop for just about any kind of antique. This episode of In Your Neighborhood is brought to you by Penteledata, serving Pennsylvania and New Jersey with reliable and fast internet.
Here, we connect things that matter most. Our businesses, schools, healthcare, events, and of course, the people in our communities who make it strong. Connect to the most advanced fiber network, Penteledata.
Welcome to In Your Neighborhood. I'm your host, Chris O'Rourke, and the sounds of my childhood. Forgive me for feeling a little nostalgic, but I spent a lot of my time when I was a kid in arcades. And now they're back. And leading the way is Fizzy's Arcade along Route 405, south of Milton. A time machine hasn't been invented yet, but it sort of feels like you're stepping back in time when you enter Fizzy's Arcade just south of Milton. Pinball machines line the front wall, and games that I played when I was a teenager at the spaceport at the Susquehanna Valley Mall are all here too. For just a moment, I felt like a kid again, until I remembered I was here for my job and snapped out of it. If you're a teenager stepping in here, you may have heard your parents talk about arcades just like this one. On one of the days we stopped by, Fizzy's Arcade was hosting a sanctioned tournament of the IFPA, which sounds a little bit like the ADAA of dodgeball movie fame. In this case, it's legitimate, and the letters stand for the International Flipper Pinball Association. 23 people competed in the tournament behind a rope similar to one you would find at the Oscars. There was also a TV screen nearby displaying the standings. The competitors earned points toward their IFPA rankings. It was a big deal for Fizzy's to host the tournament, especially since they only opened in March. What may have been lost in the shuffle that day was just how many other people were here playing games. The TV-based video game section, which features Nintendo, Sega, and other systems, was packed with kids, while Dance Dance Revolution lived up to its billing as the most popular game. In fact, this day was pretty much what owners Brett and Christina Anderson envisioned when the Arizona transplants first talked their way through the idea in late 2023. So what led you to not only decide to move across the country, but then open a business?
Well, So we're new to the area, right?
Right.
And it's like we're trying to find things to do. And we were looking for an arcade. We both enjoy playing pinball. I'm not that great at it, but I enjoy doing it. We did find a place in Sunbury that has pinball games, and we enjoyed that, but it was like, it still maybe wasn't exactly what we were looking for. And then I came across an advertisement from the Small Business Development Center at Bucknell. And they were having like a business 101, open your own small business, what you need to do to do that. And I was telling him about it. And I'm like, why don't I go? I can learn about it. If we like it, you know, if I learn something, then, you know, whatever. And so I went to the course and I gave them our idea of the arcade, and they loved it. And they encouraged us to come back, and they would help us develop this idea. So they helped us write the business plan. They helped us get funding for this. So it was just...
It was about a year-long process
Yeah.
from conception to fruition.
Let's back up a bit, shall we? The Andersons decided they wanted to get away from the Arizona heat. They made a list of the different states that had what they were looking for and zeroed in on Pennsylvania. They then narrowed their search to the river, eventually to Milton, pricing older homes, and finding the community checked all their boxes. Now we're caught up to the point when they started thinking about the business. Brett had been a big video game player in the past, traveling the same route I did, from arcades to his family's living room, playing the same systems, Atari and Nintendo. Where he and I diverged was Brett's ability to fix things and his interest in restoring video games, an interest that took him down a rabbit hole 13 years ago into a whole subculture that exists online. There are forums where you can talk to other people about how to fix or restore old gaming systems, and also where you can buy them. He bought an empty Donkey Kong Jr. cabinet and went from there. He had to sell off the games he restored before moving to Milton, but quickly got back on track. And then came the big decision to get out of their comfort zone and start a business.
We were both really excited.
It's a mixture of excitement and nerves, but we're open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And every Friday, I'm still nervous. I'm like, what if nobody comes?
Oh.
You know, I mean, it's this constant, like, what if everybody's like, I've been there. I don't need to go back there again. And every Friday, I go through the same mix of emotions. I love it. I love being down here, and I love meeting the people that come through the doors every weekend. But at the same time, it's like this, I guess all small business owners probably have this at some point or in time or another, where it's like, are people going to come? Mm-hmm. You know, so.
And they have, right?
They have.
They have.
Boy, have they ever. While arcades have made their return to big cities like Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, the comeback has been a little slower in the rest of the state. People have been coming from as far away as York, Harrisburg, the Poconos, and State College once word got around about Fizzy's. Brett and Christina believe they're at the beginning of the wave at this point. As a result, he has come up with a very creative and simple payment system.
We charge $15 to get in, and everything's free to play. So nobody has to have quarters, nobody has to have anything. It's $15 and it's all day. So if you come in at noon on a Saturday and you pay me $15, you can stay till midnight. You can leave and you can come back. Everything's on free play. And the reason why I like that, well, it's twofold. One, it's easier on the games. I don't have to worry about coin mechs breaking. I don't have to collect quarters from people and go down to the bank with a bag full of quarters. But the second thing is someone who maybe has never played pinball at a different level can come in and go, okay, what's this all about? And they can start practicing. Whereas if I was charging $1 a game, you might not be inclined to do that because you're going to play, 20 games and you're going to be done for the day because it's like, well, that's $20. I don't think I want to invest more than that. But you can play this game 20 times for $15, and you can play that game 20 times, and you can play that game 20 times and just get better.
They had some games that Brett had restored but needed more, which led him back to the forums. He got some from Florida, including this Bad Dudes game that appeared in the movie Parenthood with Steve Martin. It even came with a note from the prop master certifying that fact. They also drove the biggest U-Haul you can rent up to Buffalo between snowstorms last December to get about 20 games. There's also a place in Sunbury called Coin Taker that sells pinball machines, and the Andersons actually bought a new one, King Kong. While things initially happened in phases, Brett says they now have about 50 games, including the pool table. While Dance Dance Revolution is their most popular, they found that kids, even little ones, really like the Halloween pinball machine. When pressed, some even contend that they have seen the movie. Air hockey is also popular, along with pool, and while it's not surprising that those old school gaming staples are still big, what is surprising is that Fizzy's keeps that vibe rolling by letting you watch old movies on a VCR. Footloose was on the TV while we were there. The new school thing they have is actually very cool and very interactive.
One of the things that we have is we have the high score leaderboard. Yeah, and we have it projected on a big screen back there. And each game, each of the video games has its own QR code. So a lot of these games won't save high scores day to day. You know what I mean? It'll be like, for the day, you'll see who the high score is, but once you turn that game off and turn it back on, it's done. If you remember that episode of Seinfeld, did you ever watch Seinfeld?
Yes.
George Costanza had the Frogger high score, and the place was closing down, but he wanted to save that high score, but he had to keep the game plugged in, and he's like trying to cross. It's a funny episode. Anyway, look it up if you haven't seen it. But
I'm sure Dylan has seen it.
But so when you shut these games off, sometimes now they do have high score save kits that people have made and modified. Yeah. Again, back to the forums.
Yep.
People have made these things, and you can install them in, but not every game has that. And I try to have them on as many games as possible, but it's just not possible on all of them. So what somebody has developed is this website that I paid $10, I think, for a lifetime membership, and I have my own server on this guy's, or my own page on this guy's server. And it's for Fizzy's Arcade, and each game has a QR code. You post a high score, you scan the QR code, you punch in your score, you take a picture of it, put in your initials, and boom, within a minute, 50 seconds, I don't know, it pops up there.
What a great idea.
Yeah, so that helps. I think people like that, and we'll have,
People love it.
there's this one kid who comes in, he's probably like 12, 10 years old, and he'll look at the score and he'll be like, okay, what's the score I can beat? And he'll look, and then he'll run over to that game, and he'll try to get it, and then he'll post it, and then he'll come back, and he'll wait for it to refresh, and he'll see it, and it's fun.
The other neat thing they have here is their specialty sodas. Soda shops are big in Phoenix, but not so much here. So now you can get 15 different varieties of tasty specialty sodas, including one being advertised by the Terminator. They also recently added a room for birthday parties or other get-togethers. They love their location with its big parking lot, which has plenty of room for their customers and even sometimes a food truck. Christina contends the building even has an old school look with graphics from Graphic Hive in Williamsport. Eventually, we had to put them on the spot by asking them which games are their favorites.
So video game wise, I'll always say it's Donkey Kong, because that's a game that I think is really hard to play, but is one, like I said, my first game was Donkey Kong Jr., but right after that I got a Donkey Kong and I restored that, and it's a hard game to play, but it's a fun game to play. And then as far as pinball goes, I think right now my favorite one is the newest one we just came out last month. It's King Kong, and that's a fun game. There's a lot going on in that game. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm more of a pinball person. I'm not very good at video games.
Then it was time for all of us to hit the games. With Brett gravitating toward the pinball machines, while I gave the Halloween one a try. Then he and I joined forces on a shoot-'em-up game where we had to take out the bad guys, though not too successfully on my end.
There we go. Wow. Accuracy, 22%.
I'm terrible.
I'm no better. I have 47%. So.
Videographer Nate Grant also went for a shoot-'em-up game, working that trigger to rid the world of evil, while videographer Dylan Lekevich went with the tried-and-true favorite, Mortal Kombat. Christina and Brett say they've been amazed to see the kids come here to play the older games. They even have board games. Kids will also bring their own games so they can play face-to-face instead of online. There's definitely a social aspect going on here.
It's just a place to hang out. And
That's kind of what we also wanted to bring to the community, not only just have, an arcade, but a place for people to come and just hang out and just spend
And be
time with each
comfortable.
other.
Okay, so this is Space Invaders, one of the many retro games they have here at Fizzy's Arcade, a game I played a lot when I was younger. They have a lot of great ideas. They're just getting going here, so you have to stay tuned to what they got going on here at Fizzy's Arcade. And when we come back, right after I die here in this game, we're going to take you to another form of older stuff, but this time near Washingtonville.
TiVo Plus. All the TV you could ever dream of. Personalized and streaming 24/7. Your favorite shows, movies, videos, and more. All in one easy experience you know and love. Streaming TV that's free, binge-worthy, and always on.
Is this great or what?
TiVo Plus.
Missed the live SCCVA broadcast? We have you covered with video on demand from Service Electric Cablevision. Your favorite high school sports available 24/7. From the hometown rivalries to the state playoffs, now you can enjoy it all anytime. Just use the on-demand feature on your Service Electric cable box. You can even catch up on local programming like the Sports Beat and In Your Neighborhood. Never miss a moment with video on demand.
Pickers picking pickers. It's just a big circle. And there's kind of a joke in the antique business, and that is you just don't want to be the last guy stuck with it.
Jim Miller sums up the antique business in 2 sentences. The Monterey County man recently reopened his business, Jim's Antique Wagon. The name refers back to when Miller first opened in 2006. At the time, he had a 2-car shed next to his house on Preserve Road, but initially put his items in an old hay wagon with a money box inside. As time went on, he cleaned out one side of the shed for his items, but still relied on the wagon. The whole time he was developing this side business, the Mifflinburg native was Monterey County's chief probation officer. He started out in that office in 1990 and was promoted to lead it 2 years later. He stayed with the probation office until he retired in 2023. A year later, he decided to devote more of his retirement to Jim's Antique Wagon and realized that it needed a new home. After considering a nearby barn, he found the renovation cost prohibitive. So he got rid of the 2-car shed and built this whole new building. Inside, you'll find just about any kind of antique, showcasing Miller's wide taste, which he has been developing for some time.
After I graduated from college and I was trying to furnish my home, I would go to public auctions and purchase antiques. And then I gained a knowledge of the antiques and I started collecting. And then I thought, well, if I'm going to sit at public sales all day, on the weekends, I would be better off to probably start buying and selling. So that's what I did. It's not difficult. I go to a lot of public auctions. That's where I purchase most of my items that I resell. I also go to a lot of yard sales, flea markets, and I get quite a few public or private calls.
Is there anything was there anything that kind of attracted you to antiques as far as what you bought?
Well, I started out, I liked stoneware, antique stoneware, and I purchased a lot, had a collection of antique stoneware, and also I enjoyed antique furniture as well. So that's what I was buying to try to furnish my house and decorate the inside of my house.
And now you pretty much look for anything antique-wise, or is there specific?
Yes, now I'll buy just about anything. And some of the items that I buy, of course, are not antique, but I buy just about anything. I'll buy anything from a wrench to a full-size tractor.
The revamped business location opened on Memorial Day. The convenient part for Jim is that, because he lives right next door, he can be open at any time. While he will look at just about anything at a sale, he primarily focuses on cast iron, which he has learned how to rejuvenate. He likes primitive antiques and a wide variety of blue decorated stoneware.
And a lot of them have names where they were made. This is Calvin and Wilcox, and this was made in Harrisburg. And this is what they call either a pickled egg jar or an oyster jar.
Isn't it amazing the knowledge you accumulate doing this?
It is. It's crazy. It's unbelievable. And then this piece was made in Williamsport, and this is a Siphon Son.
Okay.
And it tells you exactly where it was made, Williamsport, and it's got the blue decoration, flower on it. And some of them aren't marked, like that piece of stoneware there is not marked, so the maker, I have no idea. It's probably a Pennsylvania piece, but we just don't know.
In the meantime, he, like every other antique dealer, is dealing with a fluctuating market. In the past, a piece of furniture like the corner cabinet holding the stoneware would have fetched a pretty penny. Now it sits in the corner holding other items. Miller says antique furniture doesn't bring in any money at all. Homeowners would rather buy from IKEA. But that's not to say that business isn't good. Miller has a prime spot just west of the Montour Preserve, which sees its fair share of traffic, and many of those people will stop in and look around.
I bring approximately 3 truckloads of merchandise into the business a week, so I move a lot of items.
Do people find you just on Facebook, or?
Well, mostly they find me on Facebook, or when they travel out to the Montour Preserve for the weekend, if they're going to have a picnic or something like that, people will stop by.
Okay, and online sales as well?
Yes, I have an eBay business, and I sell quite a few items on eBay as well.
Jim tells us that he ships about 6 to 10 items a day. His goal for eBay last year was to sell $100,000 worth of items. And he came close, bringing in $90,000. A lot of those items are military related: patches, fighting knives, and gun parts. He also sells a lot of BB guns, air rifles, and air guns. But it's the knives that brought him a very big surprise. I've always wondered if antique sellers have that one moment where they come upon an item at a yard sale or auction that they know right away is worth more than the advertised price. For Jim, it was that set of knives.
I was at an auction and I purchased 5 fighting knives. They were World War II era, and I paid $250 for the fighting knives. Now, I have a general knowledge of what those knives are worth, and I thought I could probably sell them and make about $250. So I spent $250. I was hoping to make $250, so my sale would be $500. Well, I started looking the knives up, and the one knife was selling for $70. The other knife was selling for $50. Another one was selling $60. I thought, oh no, I'm not going to even get back to my original purchase price. But the last one I looked up was very good, and I sold that on eBay for $1,750.
Oh my goodness.
So,
what was special about that last knife?
Well, that last knife, the maker was a small manufacturer, and he had 30 employees that worked for him. And very few of his knives were made, but the knives that he made were quality knives. And the handle on the knife looked like a Cutco knife handle, except it was wooden. And his name was etched in the blade of the knife and the model number. And certain model numbers are better than other model numbers, and fortunately, I had the right model number.
Oh, wow.
And what was really cool about this was I sold the knife on eBay for $1,750, and I got excellent feedback when the gentleman in Florida received the knife. But then 2 weeks later, I got a letter in the mail, and he, in the letter said, "Hey Jim," he said, "take a look at this." He said, "Your knife is pictured at the top." He said, "The second knife is one that I have had in my collection for years, and it's pictured at the bottom." He said, "Both are the same maker, both are the same model." And he said, "What is really special is," he said, "they're consecutive serial numbers."
Oh my gosh.
And he is a collector out of the state of Florida, so he said, "Hey, if you ever find any more, here's my information, get them to me."
While he's usually around and open on weekends, he does love the hunt, hopping on auctionzip.com and finding out where the sales are. He tries to stay within 30 miles and attends auctions on Monday and Wednesday nights, along with some Saturdays. He tends to go to yard sales on Thursdays and Fridays. Miller says there wasn't much of a learning curve when he started out. Knowing what to look for actually came pretty easily to him. He'll buy anything he thinks he can make a buck on, and says that, over the years, he has developed a knowledge base which gets sharper and broader each time he heads out. He also has some retail business here, given his location near the preserve. He sells fishing rods, lures, and tackle boxes, along with items that could help you uncover a piece of history at the fossil pit. You might even find a deal on a kayak here, although these two were spoken for. When he's at the store, his buddy Gator is either at his side, under his feet, or just laying around. Jim often wonders if the people who stop are here to see him, his antiques, or Gator. And I think we all know the answer to that question. Talking about the ups and downs of the antique market, normally Jim has a lot of metal furniture like these two chairs here, rockers, gliders, but they're so hot right now, this is all he has left. When we talk about the future with Jim, he is in talks with an Amish family nearby about doing hamburgers, hot dogs, ice cream here on Saturdays and Sundays, maybe even some produce as well, making it an even more attractive place to stop on your way to the preserve. If you have a segment idea for us, you can send it to us at IYN@secv8.com or stop by our Facebook page. That's it for season 15. We'll see you again in January. Thanks for joining us. I'm your host, Chris O'Rourke.